And hi folks, Geoff Hetherington with this Tuesday's tips and tactics. Today I thought rather than talk about numbers and products and differentiation and all that commoditization, all those sorts of things we've been talking about the last few weeks, I thought I would talk about something very easy, if you like, or basic, which is about your productivity in your business. As always in my talks, there'll be no rainbows, no unicorns. Everything I talk about today, you'll be able to take away and start applying in your business to your betterment. I'm not going to go through who I am. You'll pretty much know who I am. Just understand that I had 30 plus years as a C-suite executive in a dozen different industries. So I've been around the block a few times. I used to lecture at university in business, and before that, I was a high school teacher. So I teach probably more than I coach. The first thing to do with your personal productivity is decide to GSD. Get shit done, all right? Too many people get caught up in procrastination. In fact, the normal for people looks like this. They've got 150 things to do. Just hold your hand up if you've got a to-do list that's got items on it older than 3 days old. Anyone? Yep, great. I love the honesty. Okay. This is the problem, is we were taught to write to-do lists, but the thing is we weren't taught how to tackle them and how to get through them. In fact, our daily dilemma is the fact we get up in the morning and we look down and there's this to-do list that never seems to get smaller. I once worked with a guy named Chris Johns, and Chris Johns used to carry an A4 spiral bound notebook, and he used to run numbers down the page, and he was up to 270 something things on his to-do list in there. You can imagine how effective he was at work and how happy he felt each day. The thing to understand about to-do lists and personal productivity and all that sort of thing is that they need a bit of structure to them. But as human beings, there are probably three things we need to end each day with. We need to have had a bit of a laugh sometime during the day. We need to end with a sense of accomplishment, like we've actually accomplished something. And the third thing is we need to leave the day with a bit of a plan for the following day, so our mind doesn't run at 3 o'clock in the morning reminding us of all the things we've got to do. It is so important that we have that sense of accomplishment. I don't know about you. I used to hate it, especially my early executive days, where I'd get home and I'd feel tired and wrung out, like I'd worked really hard, but I hadn't actually accomplished anything. So understand this: in structure lies freedom. It's a bit like dealing with teenagers. Your teenagers kick and yell and scream when you give them an 11 o'clock curfew or a 10 o'clock curfew, but at the end of the day, they actually like it because they want some structure in their lives to work around. We're the same. The more structure we've got in our lives, the more freedom that we can have. So the basics really start here. What you should be doing, especially if you're office based, is you should turn the notifications off on your desktop, your laptop, and your phones. Unless, of course, your wife's about to have a baby or there's something important happening like that. Turn your notifications off and just look at yourself doing this thing, which is called batching. You should batch your emails. Email is literally someone else stepping inside your head and inside your business to try and get something they want for them. It's not for you. So the best way to deal with emails is to batch when you look at them. Too many people have notifications open, and every time an email comes up, it interrupts them and they go and check it out. Personally, I check my emails twice a day, around about 10 o'clock and again at 4 o'clock. And that's the only times I check emails. I don't have any notifications going or anything like that. My clients know if there's something urgent, they'll send me an SMS and I'll get in touch with them. But other than that, I batch my emails. You should do the same thing. You should check your phone, your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever, in batches during the day. Give yourself 10 minutes if you're addicted or if it's important to your business. Pick 2 or 3 times a day to check the dreaded social media. But if you don't batch, what happens is you end up being pushed into a fully reactive mode where you're reacting to what everyone else wants you to do instead of being proactive and deciding what else is going to happen. The other thing, of course, is if you have an office-based job, is that we tend to sit and we sit for far too long. So you need to get up and move. I'd use one of these little things here. This clock was originally designed by a primary school teacher, and she had a big one on the wall, 12 inches round, and she used to tell the kids how long things were. I set this for around about 40 minutes. Excuse me. 40 minutes, and that's when I know I've got to get up and go for a walk, make a cup of coffee, go and yell at my furry doorbell because he's making too much noise, whatever it happens to be. But you need to move. The longer you stay sitting, the tighter your hip flexors get, the tighter things called the QL muscles get, and the less happy you are as a human being. It affects your health. I'm not sure I agree with sitting is the new smoking, but I tell you what, sitting too much is not good for you. Other thing you can do for your productivity is hydrate. Again, I walk my talk. I've got one of these in my office, and this one's nearly empty. I go through one of those a day, which is 2 liters of water every day. And that's on top of my coffee, my tea, or whatever else I happen to be having. You've got to hydrate. You've got to keep yourself hydrated. Now, the only thing your body treats like water is water. So yes, you get some fluid from Coca-Cola or fruit juices or cups of tea, but you don't get water. You need water to stay hydrated. Identify your magic time. Really depends on us as individuals. Some people are really, really good at working on things first thing in the morning. Some people it's around lunchtime, other people it's in the afternoon, and other people, again, it's even the evenings. You'll know yourself better, but by magic time, it's that time where you know if you start something, you feel energized by it and you can get stuck in and do it. Now, there's a lot of gurus out there that say you've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do all that. And that's entirely up to you if that works for you. I don't, but I'm much better at tackling things first up in the morning after I've done a workout in my home gym, or I've gone for a walk, or I've been on the treadmill or something. Once I do that, have a shower, have breakfast, then I'm ready to start the day. And that works for me. I don't know what will work for you, but identify your magic time, because when you identify it, you've got to protect it like it's the most precious thing you've got. Put fences around it and then use that time to work on the big projects you've got in your business. There's a number of ways you can increase productivity. You can do a thing called the weekly. The weekly is purely and simply where you assign a theme to a day in your week. It might be Monday's marketing. Friday might be finish at Friday. Thursday might be client calls. Tuesday might be client meetings. Wednesday might be creating assets. It's entirely up to you. But if you theme the days of your week, you can focus on that aspect of your business almost to the exclusion of everything else. In my business, I run on a fortnightly cycle. I have 1 week where I'm heavy on client contact and client calls and doing work for clients. And the other week is literally about my business, where I focus on creating assets, doing videos, creating blogs and all that sort of stuff. That's what works for me. May not work for you, but the key thing is you want to get more productive, and it's a good idea if you try and theme the days if you possibly can. And speaking of days, one of these things is really good. There's 1,000,001 of them out there. You can design your own if you want, but a daily planner is an absolutely brilliant thing to have. And it leads into the next thing I'll be talking about in a second. But if you've got one of these things, you fill it in the night before. And that way you've got some shape and structure to your day. You also see there on the left-hand column, today is, and it assigns some time. So you can actually put in time when you're going to do things. Now, obviously, if you've got appointments and things, you can do them, or they're on your Google Calendar. But this is more important for putting in time to create that new blog post, to film some videos, to create the new carousel for Instagram or whatever it is you happen to be. Your top 5 to-dos, what are the 5 things that you need to get done today? When you're going to exercise, and some notes for tomorrow. A daily planner is absolutely brilliant. If you don't have one, you should maybe look at one. 5 by 5 is my thing, and this is quite simply, you pick 5 things you'll have done by 5 o'clock the following day. So what happens is you should round about 4:30 or 5 o'clock do a brain dump and pick 5 things out of the brain dump that you're going to work on tomorrow and have completed by 5 o'clock the following evening. Now, it could be a mixture. They shouldn't be 5 huge projects that will take months, but they shouldn't be 5 easy things. It should be a mix of easy, and it can be personal and business. It might be, one of the things might be pick up the dry cleaning, and the next thing might be, write a 12 email welcome sequence for someone to a new program. But literally do this: brain dump all the things that need to get done in your business and pick 5 of those that you can get finished by 5 o'clock the next evening. Then the next evening you get that sense of accomplishment because you put a line through 5 things, and then you do a fresh brain dump, pick 5 more things and go on. This is one way to maintain forward momentum in your business. If you've got 5 things you're working on and completing every single day, personal and business, what happens is things can't help but improve and keep moving forward with momentum. It's when you have no plan for how to spend your days that you start losing momentum and you start spiraling down and getting depressed with things. The other thing is, a lot of people talk to you about what is your MIA, and it's not missing in action, although lots of business owners are missing in action when it comes to planning. This is about your most impactful activity. Tim Ferriss has got a quote that says, "What is the one thing that if I do it and do it well, it reduces the need to do other things in my business?" Your most impactful activity is the thing that you could do would have the most impact on your business. It might be making those sales calls. It might be cleaning up your website. It might be creating new lead magnets. It might be finally admitting that the course that you've got isn't working and junking that and revamping it. But identify what is the most impactful activity that you can do and make sure you're assigning time to actually do it. Of course, when you work on these things, they say it gets momentum, and momentum's a good thing. All right, you've all heard about Eat the Frog. Eat the Frog basically says first thing in the morning off your list, you tackle the thing you're most scared of, or the biggest thing, or the thing that you're finding hardest to get stuck on. Because once you get that done, everything else on your list seems really easy. Yeah. I have to admit, I don't always eat the frog. Sometimes the frog scares me too much and I leave it till lunchtime. But nonetheless, it's a good habit to get into. The things that scare you, or the things that need the most attention, you get them done out the way. It gives you a real sense of momentum, which you can carry forward into your day. The idea with 5x5 or theming the days of your week and all those sorts of things is all these things are designed to help you build momentum in your business. They're designed to really help you make sure your business continues to move forward and upward, but it doesn't settle and stagnate. Here's another trick you can do. It's called the 9-box or 3-hour method. Each box represents 20 minutes. So you can sit down and you can literally go, right, how am I going to spend 3 hours tomorrow? And you go 20 minutes on this. Now you might spend 2 blocks of 20 minutes or 3 blocks or 5 blocks of 20 minutes on the one project. But again, remember, in structure lies freedom. This is giving you some structure to your day so you can decide where you're going to spend it. There's a thing called a compression session. Compression session is a session of 45 to 90 minutes where you almost get into flow, where you can focus fully on something and you can do it. Now, most normal human beings are good for 1 compression session a day. That's why the 9-box method works, because you can spread smaller sessions out. Superhuman people do 3 a day, and pretty good people do 2. I sometimes do 2 pretty easily, more often than 1. But a compression session is again where you use your daily planner and you map out, say, 90 minutes to work on your most impactful activity. And you turn off your notifications, you make sure it's not near when you're batch checking your emails, and you do nothing but focus on it. And what I do is I grab my little handy dandy clock and I set that up. I make sure I've got a fresh cup of coffee, my water's filled, no distractions, and I go for it. Compression sessions, you'd be amazed at how much work you can get done if you literally structure and try to do them. As I've said, you can use a timer like the one on the screen, the one I use. You can use them, several ways as a reminder to get up and walk around and move and do a couple of squats or get a fresh cup of coffee so you're not stuck sitting all day. You can use them to time your compression sessions. You can even use them when you're dealing with clients to make sure that if you've said it's a 45-minute session, that you're aware when the 45 minutes is up. And if you choose to go over it, you do. But it's a conscious choice. It doesn't just happen. In structure lies freedom. You can do a thing called squeezing your week. Most people, most of us, accept appointments all over the place. If you squeeze your week, and it takes a little bit of working, but you can set it up in your calendar, the very first appointment that I set in a week is the very last slot I have on Wednesday afternoon. The next one is the second last slot on Wednesday. And then I fill Wednesday from afternoon to morning. I fill Tuesday from afternoon to morning. I fill Thursday from afternoon to morning. Friday is different because I fill it from morning to lunchtime and hopefully nothing happens in the afternoon so I can get a start on the weekend. And the same thing on Mondays. I start at lunchtime to end of day and try not to have anything set in the Monday. Now, again, because I run the fortnightly cycle, I only use this every 2 weeks. If you're working on something and you're interrupted, all of the research shows it takes a minimum of 25 minutes for you to get back to where you were before. So every phone call, every check of Facebook, every Instagram message, every email you check, every appointment which is in the middle of working day will cost you at least 25 minutes out of your working day. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have all those 25 minutes to spare. So I like to try and control things. So squeezing your week, if you have lots of appointments, is a really good way for you to manage your business. It also makes it very, very easy for you to identify the dreaded white spaces in your calendar. White spaces should be the enemy of anyone who requires upon appointments with people for their business. You should declare war on them. This is a great thing to increase your productivity, is to literally go for a walk outside every day. 20 minutes, half an hour is sufficient, although I've got clients who do 90 minutes regularly. But just getting up from your desk, getting out from the environment, take your phone with you. If I take my phone with me, I have it turned to silent so I can just walk and enjoy the outside and just let my brain roam. Some of my clients have notifications turned on. It's entirely up to you. But going for a walk actually boosts your productivity. There's a guy I worked with whose name was Clark when I was Telstra, when we were setting up the NextG network. And Clark, he used to insist all of his managers go for a walk at lunchtime. And we were in the centre of Brisbane. So Clarky and I and a couple of others would get together. We'd go down the mall. We'd find a Chinese place. We'd sit down and have some Chinese, or we'd grab some sandwiches, and we'd go for a walk for 20 minutes and go back to the office. And our productivity and our approach to work just got raised enormously. The other thing to improve your productivity, and the last thing I'll talk about today, is selfies. I know I don't mean take photos and post them on Instagram. What I mean is setting an appointment with yourself, 2 or 3 meetings with yourself every week. They can be 20 minutes, they can be 60 minutes, they can be an hour and a half. I recommend somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes. And what you do is you treat those as the most important meeting you've got during that week. And you use those meetings with yourself to think and to plan, or simply to switch off. Go and sit in another room, go sit on your back porch and have a cup of tea for 20 minutes with a notebook and pen so you can write things down as they occur to you. Or use them to specifically work on your next upcoming most important activity, to do some planning. But a selfie is really, really important. And the one thing I haven't put on here, which I probably should have, is carve out 45 minutes every Sunday to plan the following week. All right. Doesn't matter if you sit down with a glass of red wine, 2 or 3 fingers of scotch, which I used to do, or cup of tea, but sit down and plan out the next week. What I do is I plan my 5x5 for Monday on Sunday. I do a GBU. I look at what was good about the last week, what was bad about it, what was ugly about it. And then I write down the main things I want to try and achieve the following week. Once again, that shuts off your subconscious mind, so you don't wake up at 3 o'clock worrying about things, because your subconscious knows you've actually got a plan in place to deal with things. That's productivity, folks. Simple stuff. The hard part is actually doing it and doing it consistently. If you'd like to have a chat about all this sort of stuff, there's the link up there. geoffhetherington.as.me/virtual coffee. And let's have a chat for 20 minutes, 30 minutes about you and your business. It's not a sales call. I'll just see if I can help you. Some people on the call have already had them with me. And you'll know that it's not me trying to gain business. It's me just trying to live up to the charter of Be Connected World, which is, helping one another. So folks, that's me. I'll stop the share.
Thanks very much, Geoff. Anybody got any questions?